Hi guys, my name is Kirsty. Welcome back to Upside Down Books, and also welcome to the very last video for 2022. This is going to be my last upload for the year, and then I'm going to be enjoying Christmas and the New Year break and be doing lots and lots of reading between Christmas and New Year's. So yeah, I wish you all the happiest of Christmases if you are celebrating, and if you don't celebrate, then I hope you're just having a lovely end to the year. But I am really excited today to be talking to you about Anything But Fine by Tobias Madden.
Non più tra I farfalloni amoroso, notte giorno di
I had been debating doing a book haul as my last video for the year, but I decided that I was just going to make it a big thing, and in the new year you can look forward to a proper ridiculous book haul, because I was looking and I haven't actually done one since about August, so you know, mentally prepare yourself for that one. Instead, let's go for the lighter topic of talking about how amazing this book is. Tobias Madden is an Australian author, and this is a YA contemporary, like romance sort of drama. It's all about a ballet dancer who breaks his foot and is put out of action, and it's about him coping with the fact that it feels like his whole life has just been ripped out from under his feet. He's just feeling like it's all very dramatic and traumatized in that he'll never dance again, and he has to do all these different changes to his life as like knock-on consequences. And it's just a really great book for looking at elite sport and how your life balance works as a young adult doing high school and a lot of sport outside of school. It's looking at queer relationships and friendships. It's looking at a bit of diversity and how to fit in as the outsider at school. It's got a lot going for it. Tobias Madden himself has some ballet experience and performing experience, and he has a gorgeous husband. Both of them are just the most loveliest people that I know of. So this is very much so coming from a place in his heart, I feel, and it is honestly just fabulous, and I can't wait to read some of his other stuff. He's got another book out, and I hope he just keeps and keeps and keeps writing, because I'm keen. It goes without saying that this was a 5-star read for me, and there were several reasons why this resonated for me. I struggle. Sometimes I struggle with YA contemporary romance stuff. It's just not always my cup of tea. I'm very much so an historical and a fantasy reader, and I dabble occasionally in books like this, and I've noticed that I have a real tendency for reading queer books. I just find that the relationships and the soul searching that goes on in queer books tends to be just that much more authentic and less problematic, or at least the ones I've been reading, than some of the other YA romances you get within the heterosexual world. So that was something I was expecting I was going to like in this one, but also I had a similar childhood being a gymnast myself, so I really enjoy reading books about dance or gymnastics, because there's nothing that quite captures what it's like being an elite level dancer or gymnast. Probably a couple of other sports, but they're just very specific in the really high pressure, high performance and intense training regime, and the way that very few people can really understand what that's like and what it means for you and how it really takes over part of your identity. So for me, this is very translatable to my gymnastics history, and so I really enjoyed it from that perspective. So this is all about Luca, and as I said, Luca breaks his foot at the very beginning of this book, and he is put out of action for ballet, and not only that, not being able to do ballet means he's not getting the scholarship to go to the school he was going to, so he has to move schools. So the whole plot of this is someone in, I think he's in about year 11, would be about right. He's 16, all the characters are 16, and at that point in high school having to change schools and dealing with how to cope with new friendships at that time, how to focus on studies, and how to find a new identity for yourself when you think that whatever it is you've just lost, you're never going to get back. Luca very much so feels that he will not be returning to ballet. He's told quite strictly by the doctors that he will never dance again because he will not have movement in his foot. But he has a really lovely and supportive father who is trying to push him to not quite give up just yet and to just keep going with the rehab and see where he's at. That's another element that is going for this story. It is single parenting with a mother who's absent, having died in Luca's childhood. So there's like a lot of really interesting dynamics going on, and I loved it. I really love Luca's father in this. I think the relationship between both of them is really beautiful. I think the way that his father deals with all the different issues that come up in the story was really lovely. It was a great example of parenting, but not just perfect parenting, sort of parenting that where the parent during the story also goes on their own journey of self-discovery and growth, as does the child, and I think that that's really lovely. The romance in this was one of the best I have read for a while. I won't talk about who it is or how it goes down, because that is just for you to enjoy when you get to it, and spoilers obviously, but I did think that the greatest sense I had reading this book was just how magnificently I felt attached to the characters. It is a book that reminded me that I have read lots and lots of good stuff lately, but not lots and lots of stuff that's made me feel really deeply about characters, and the character connection you get here is like pretty phenomenal, I would say. And everyone I've spoken to who's also read this felt the same way, that there's just this real sense of caring for the characters. They're very, very real to you as the reader. I went through and I think I read this in the space of 24 hours. I found this so hard to put down. It's obviously not a very big book either, being a YA romance, but it was nonetheless something that I really powered through. I was just unable to do anything but sit down and read because I had to know how things were going to turn out for Luca by the end of the book. It's very wholesome, it's very beautiful, it doesn't have any explicit scenes that I remember, so this is a reasonably safe read for anyone who's not looking for spice, but it does have that lovely sexual tension that really drives the romance plot throughout the book, which to me, that's my favourite kind. I'm not particularly prude or conservative, but I just prefer these kind of stories that don't lean on sex as the main plot. I think it's really interesting, and I think one of the other interesting things is that it's the first sort of serious relationship that Luca has ever gone through, and there's a really lovely caring factor with the father about him having concern about Luca sort of just falling hard for the first guy who gives him any bit of attention, and particularly because of who that guy is and where he sits in, say, the social hierarchy at school. There's lots of cause for concern that Luca might be straight in line for a heartbreak, and so you're kind of right there with him, sharing all the same concerns as his dad about whether this is going to turn out well and whether this is realistic or whether it's even going to happen. It's lovely. The other really great thing about this is a really strong friendship, and I love it when there is a really great friendship in this. And that friendship is with a girl at school called Amina, and she is Muslim, and so we have a different ethnicity and everything that comes with that identity being slotted into this, and it is really interestingly done. I think that Tobias Madden has done a really great job, and I really enjoy the way that the books can take two different minorities, if you will, and sort of set them off against each other to see how that interplays and how their different experiences can reflect some similarities in terms of how other people are treating them. So you definitely get this sense of the outsiders, but what I think was done really well is that Amina wasn't just straight up an outsider because she was Muslim in a predominantly non-Muslim setting. It was actually just because she didn't fit in socially. She's a high-level nerd who is just really full-on, and she doesn't have many friends because of that. We do explore ideas of racism crossing over the boundaries with ethnicity as well, because as Luca spends more and more time with Amina, he seems to pick up on that a bit more, and there's that really lovely sense of him wishing that people might have been able to stand up for him when he came out, and being able to sort of pay it forward in sort of a theoretical sense for Amina's behalf, and being there to stand up, even if it's against people who he respects or is friends with, to say, hey, no, that's not okay. But I think it was really lovely. I thought the characters were just really relatable. Amina was lovely. She was just this most beautiful person who just gives everything 110%, is dealing with all this self-pressure and all of the difficulties that come with trying to fit in a school where you are intensely academic, but a lot of people surrounding you don't care and think you're a bit silly for being so dedicated. So all in all, I think that Tobias Madden has done a really good job making this story. I hope that, like, I just wanted to know more. I want to know more about what happens after these pages. He does have another book out, which I'm really keen to read. I hope he continues to bring books out on the regular. This came out in 2021. His second book came out this year in 2022, so maybe if we're lucky we'll get another book next year, but that's a pretty intense publishing schedule, so we'll have to cross our fingers and see about that one. But this is really great and fabulous. I can't recommend it enough. This is definitely making my top 5 for 2022, no doubt about it. I loved it. I have no complaints. I powered through it. I couldn't put it down. I was completely obsessed with the characters, obsessed with the plots, obsessed with all of the different relationships in here, whether it was father to son, boy to boy, or friend to friend. It was just everything I could ask for, all of the lovely drama and cesspit that makes up high school and high school bullying. It was just all there and very real and very good. So I would certainly be recommending this if you like this genre in general. Some other authors that come to mind who write similarly well in the queer aspect of their novels would be Mackenzie Lee for the Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, and also Becky Albertalli for things like Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda, or honestly literally anything else she has written. I rank Tobias Madden very highly in terms of queer writing, and just in terms of general YA writing, because again, for me, this is just such a great example of everything I could want in YA. If more YA books were this good, I would definitely read the genre more than I currently do. So big claps for this one. I would love to know in the comments down below if you have read this or if you're planning to, and if you're not, then I urge you to add it to your TBR or gift it to a friend who might be interested, because it is worth it and it should definitely go on your TBR for 2023. Other than that, I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.
Alla gloria militar.